Well, guys, we need to talk about this Alabama mayor, a Republican, that actually took his own life, I believe, on Friday. Now, this man, I don't know the name of the town that he was actually the mayor of, but also he was a pastor. And some publication, I believe it was called 1819, I'm not really familiar with them, they outed him as a transgender. This man's supposed to be a preacher, and he's masquerading online as a transgender. And also it gets a bit worse. But I guess after the publication was actually put out there, he decided to end his own life. Now I've been looking at the headlines, and it seems like the mainstream media is really trying to put pressure on, well, not put pressure, I should say, but actually blaming 1819 for this man killing himself. And I disagree with that because this man himself put his lifestyle out there for everyone to see. He was living a double life. He decided to go online and dress up like a woman. And some of the stuff is disgusting, by the way. This man was actually preaching in the pulpit on Sundays. But in his private life, he was not abiding by what he was supposed to be preaching. He was supposed to be a man of God. He was supposed to be representing the people. But he wasn't doing that. He was into some fringe stuff here. So let's go ahead and look at this on the New York Post. Alabama preacher F.L. Bubba Copeland kills himself after being outed as transgender curvy girl. Yeah. Wow. So it is sad that he ended his life, but I don't believe the publication is the reason why he ended his life. He put his information out there on social media. I believe he had an Instagram account, and he was dressed up like a woman. And apparently he was actually using his wife's clothes. This man was not living by what he was preaching. So let's read this. An Alabama preacher and politician killed himself Friday, 2 days after being outed for having a secret life he shared online as a transgender curvy girl. F.L. Bubba Copeland, who was the mayor of Tiny Smith Station with a population of just 6,756, as well as the pastor at First Baptist Church in nearby Phoenix City, shot himself around 5 p.m. in front of sheriffs who were following him. Copeland was a married father of 3. His suicide came after police were asked to do a welfare check and began tailing his car. Quote, he exited the vehicle, produced a handgun, and took his own life, the sheriff's office said. Copeland's suicide followed an expose in 1819 News, a news site once owned by the conservative think tank, the Alabama Policy Institute, that described Copeland's secret life online as a transgender woman under the pseudonym Brittany Blair Sumlin. Brittany described herself as a, quote, transitioning transgender curvy girl that loves smiling, clothes, and shoes. One of his social media profiles showed Copeland wearing different women's outfits, including bedroom photos of himself in women's underwear. What? 1819 News also reported that Copeland could be seen wearing some of his wife's clothes in his post. And you know what? That may have actually given him away. Maybe people that knew him, probably knew his wife, probably say, hey, that kind of looks like him. And also his wife actually wears that. That could be possible. But that is Bubba Copeland right there. And this is Bubba Copeland dressed up as a transgender curvy girl right there. Copeland referred to himself as a, quote, thick transgender woman and encouraged other trans women to go on hormone replacement therapy. Now, check this out. This is pretty disgusting nets. He also posted transgender porn as well as transgender fiction and erotica that he apparently wrote, according to 1819 News. He was posting trans porn. A man of God should not be doing that. He shouldn't. Copeland told 1819 News, which published a report on his 62nd birthday, that his online alter ego was a harmless hobby that did not go beyond his home. But the thing is, man, you're preaching to people on Sundays in church to follow Jesus. What you're doing is not following Jesus. I believe that clergy should be held to a higher standard. I believe that politicians also should be held to a higher standard. They're supposed to be leaders. You're not leading. You're posting transgender porn? Really? Wow. Quote, just my wife knows about it. I don't think so because you posted it on social media. Copeland said, it's a hobby I do to relieve stress. I have a lot of stress and I'm not medically on transitioning. It's just a bit of a character I'm playing. I don't go out and seek solicitation or anything like that. What I do in my private life has nothing to do with what I do in my holy life. Wow, he actually said that. Copeland told 1819 reporter Craig Monger, quote, does this have any effect on me being mayor, that I sometimes put on a dress and sometimes put on makeup? Does it have anything to do whatsoever with me being mayor or being a pastor? It definitely has everything to do with that. Image and character matters, especially when you're supposed to be a man of God. What you were doing was not being a man of God. And I don't want my politicians out there, doing this fringe stuff as well. Posting transgender porn. Really? Man. He appeared to take his outing in stride after the expose was published Wednesday. That night, he delivered his regular sermon at the First Baptist Church of Phoenix City and briefly addressed the scandal. Quote, I have been an object of an internet attack, Copeland said. An article that was written about my capacity as the mayor and capacity as a pastor. The article is not who or what I am. He downplayed the online material, calling it an attempt of humor. Yes, I've taken pictures with my wife in the privacy of our home in an attempt of humor because I know I'm not a handsome man nor a beautiful woman either. Copeland continued. I apologize for any embarrassment caused by my private personal life that has come publicly. A March interview that Copeland did with Columbus, Georgia's WRBL was both poignant and eerily foreshadowed his own fate. Quote, I always say we're Mayberry 2023, he said about Smith Station. It really is like everybody knows your name. Everybody dies famous in a small town. That's what it is. It is Friday Night Lights. It is Mama's Apple Pie. Our community is very, very low crime, very low drug abuse. Our number one problem is suicide. It is sad. I think a lot of it has to do with the military. I think some of it has to do with social media and the reality of it. That's the number one problem we have. Wow. This man, I'm going to say it again, he put himself on social media doing this stuff. And then he started trying to play the victim. Now, maybe he thought that, hey, it would just stay local. Not many people actually talk about it, but it got out there. This story is everywhere now, man. everywhere. Man, I feel very, very sad for his family. I really do. But this man was living a double life. He was not being a man of God. I mean, if you're going to be a pastor, man, you cannot do that. You cannot do that. And let me jump back over here, because this is where I think, they're trying to blame 1819 for him killing himself. This is on Salon.com. Are you happy now? Alabama mayor dies by suicide after being outed as transgender. Now, this article here, they're using pronouns, like they and them. We don't have any evidence that Copeland was actually using these pronouns. They're just jumping the gun. But an associate of him actually said, who was it here? Says one of Copeland's friends, former Phoenix City school superintendent Larry DeChara, commented on the tragedy via a statement to Facebook, writing, "Are you happy now? What crime did they commit? Some of you people make me sick. I hope you are really proud." Man, the whole thing is tragic, man. The whole thing is tragic. But this man was living a double life. He was not living a godly life, considering, he's supposed to be a man of God. I don't think you can blame 1819, because he put all this stuff out there for people to see. He did that himself. He outed himself. Maybe 1819 just made it more public, but he was already out there in the public doing this stuff. Sad story though, man. Sad story. That's just my thoughts on this. What do you guys think of this? Black and White Network fans, let us know what you think about all this in the comments. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you next time.